On this episode, around town, we got a rat of a job ahead of us.
Getting rid of an overgrowing rat infestation means digging into a full-scale backyard renovation.
Hard work pays dividends. You don't become a Telly Award-winning YouTube host by just sitting behind a keyboard. Sweat equity.
But since when did a pest control company do landscaping work?
It's important to get this all done because you'll never eradicate all the rats if you're only chasing your tail halfway around the tree.
This is Around Town with Town & Country Pest Solutions.
We are at a residence that called us about a rat problem, and it is quite a doozy. Let's take a look at who's all here. We got Jay, we got Brandon, we got Caden, we got Addison, we got Mike, we got Ethan, and myself, Brian behind the camera. So how did we end up here? Let's catch you up.
We've helped plenty of folks throughout the years deal with rodent issues, so when our wildlife team said that this was the largest collection of rats they've seen in a single spot, we had to see for ourselves. The most common type of rat we encounter in upstate New York is the Norway rat, which are typically burrowers. They build their nests outside the walls of homes or in various clumps of vegetation. This backyard nestled in a quiet suburb provided plenty of coverage in the surrounding landscaping, along with shelter beneath both the deck and tool shed out back. We also noticed these rats weren't nearly as skittish as most other rodents, and that means they've grown quite comfortable here. The area with the most visible activity was right off the patio and behind the garage. With the focal point for treatment defined, the rest of the service plans started to come together. The crew all agreed that the best course of action was to begin by removing the material the rats were tunneling through on the brick patio. This would require some heavy lifting, with the help of our John Deere front-end loader. As for the connecting garden beds, it was crucial to clear out the vegetation to have easier access to the burrows below. Finally, one of the most important pieces of equipment for this project was the BurrowRX. With the team assembled and game plan in place, it's time to jump back into the action.
Here we go.
Now this is just one of the parts of this job, Mike. What else are we doing today?
We're going to be going around after these guys get all this cleared out, smoking any of the burrows that are still visible. First we wanted to start though with clearing the debris and the overgrowth. You'll never be able to get them with the BurrowRX.
You don't have a clear line of sight, right?
A clear line.
Norway rats love burrowing underneath dense greenery, so in order for us to be as thorough as possible, our crew needed to remove all the vegetation to eliminate harborage areas, which simply put means an area where pests can live, thrive, and reproduce. The tricky thing about this property was the number of shrub-covered nooks and crannies these rats had available to establish their burrows.
My heel just went through a hole and you couldn't see it. But a little inspection here on my glasses. It's right there, you wouldn't have seen it, especially with all this vegetation.
Now that we're cleaning this all up, there's no harboring areas. Then we're going to be able to maintain it with just the stations for any remaining rats that are still around.
Our wildlife services are typically put into action when a wild animal causes property damage or is perceived as a threat to human health or safety, and a rat infestation like this certainly qualifies.
It's high-speed action here because we want to get done a lot of different work. Mike's trimming some of the shrub. We got Caden and Ethan. They're clearing out all the clippings so that way we can get a good lie on this section. Jay is now maneuvering the John Deere out so that way he can lend a hand with the rest of the vegetation removal and topsoil spreading.
Make sure there's no more smoke coming out because that burrow system could come up into here.
The BurrowRX is an incredibly useful piece of equipment for our rodent services. This machine helps identify entry and exit points of a burrow and eradicates unwelcome rodents.
How many jobs do you get that request the BurrowRX or require it?
6 a month.
Wow.
We're smoking the burrow systems for any rats that are still inside of the burrows. It's important to get this all done because you'll never eradicate all the rats if you're only chasing your tail halfway around the tree.
Rats are universally disliked because they can contaminate food and spread a number of diseases, so doing our part to prevent this population from growing even larger is a top priority.
Seems like the perfect opportunity to ask you, if you dig this channel, why don't you like and subscribe, set up notifications.
Just a few hours in, all our hard work was starting to pay off.
It's 10 o'clock and I've burned 168 calories according to my fancy Apple Watch. Been trying to close my rings every day, but I think I'm gonna have this done by noon.
Personal fitness goals aside, the progress made so far on this massive undertaking was reassuring.
It's coming along pretty nicely. Another good thing about the topsoil cover and all this, you'll be able to see any active holes that are remade next week when we come back to check everything.
On a project like this, having an all-hands-on-deck approach allows us to make quick work out of a large-scale operation. What might take others a few days to tackle only took our crew a handful of hours, all thanks to the right equipment and a well-coordinated effort from everyone on site.
I'm super impressed with the way that this turned out. We got a really strong team, and going into this job, we knew that we needed to have strong team members out here. I want them done 110%. And with having a solid team like we have here at Town and Country, I can accomplish that.
With the burrows filled in and cleanup finished, our team will conduct follow-up services over the next few weeks, preventing any future rodents from establishing a foothold on this property again.
Well, that just about wraps this one up. If you like this episode, why don't you check out the time that we handled a rat job all the way out in Buffalo. As always, I'm Matt Miller, and we'll catch you at the next job.